Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Carson Dale, and I will be talking about the company I work for and some of the ideas I have to improve it. Now, for some background context, the company I work for is TNA, the pro wrestling company. TNA has been around since 2002 and has had a roller coaster of a time since then, with highs at the early stages of the 2010s and the lows coming soon thereafter. Luckily for them, though, they saw an increase of viewers during and following the pandemic. They rode this wave into a partnership with WWE last year, and I joined the company late that year as well. The same week I joined the company, a very serious injury occurred to the fan favorite wrestler Chris Bay. He was left with a broken neck and partially paralyzed during a tag team match with the Hardys. Pro wrestling doesn't have a union, and TNA doesn't have a wellness policy. TNA paid for Chris's first few weeks at the hospital, but he has been left on his own since then. He started a GoFundMe and still updates people on his journey through social media. This, along with more I'll talk about in this presentation, is why I believe TNA should introduce a formal wellness policy. Now we are on to the campaign objective. Here I came up with a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goal. That goal being to launch and promote a TNA wellness program by January 2026. Here we would like to have at least 65% performer engagement, a 20% reduction in injury-related downtime, and positive coverage from 3+ key media outlets. The intended outcome would hopefully be less mental and physical problems throughout the company, as well as to be taken more seriously by competitors and audiences alike. This is just the start, but would be a great indicator for what the future may hold. Here we have our primary and secondary audiences. I will start with the primary. TNA's executive leadership, aka the ones who have the power when it comes to decision making, are the most important at the top. Approval must happen through them for us to even move forward. The secondary audience is then the wrestlers and production staff, but it's also important to include media outlets that would most likely cover our story, and I'll expand more upon these audiences when I get to the theory direction slide. Next, however, is the media and platform ideas. Internal communications would be simple, as we would do emails, a launch video, and have meetings and town halls to discuss thereafter. Externally, we would start with a press release to make it public, but we don't want to keep people in the dark, so podcasts and interviews along with featured stories can keep people up to date. Keeping people intrigued throughout our fight is half the battle. And wrestling audiences are very engaged on X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube. That's why we would mainly focus our attention there. In our Find Your Gatekeepers assignment, I mentioned press outreach with PW Insider, Wrestling Observer, and ESPN. They'd be very helpful in keeping the story relevant on a grander scale. Here is the theory direction slide I alluded to earlier. This theory that is most applicable in my situation is elaboration likely modeled, ELM. The way it makes use of both a central and peripheral route transitions seamlessly for my situation. The central route is for TNA's executive leadership, since again, they make the decisions. To convince them, we'll use data-driven arguments and present detailed policy proposals. We'll use the peripheral route to communicate with wrestlers and staff members who are more on the fence about all of this. This is why we'd use testimonials from respected wrestlers and try to appeal to their emotional side. After implementing all this, you may be asking, what would be our next steps and how would we refine our plan? Well, our next steps would be to finalize our budget approval, gather talent input while we're still putting it together, and lastly, select our top spokespeople. These would be crucial steps and involve a lot of teamwork. If you look to the right of the screen, you'll see the feedback request. I'm most curious about which tactics resonate most with the leadership and staff. By answering this, we'll most be able to improve the way in which we tell or display future details, but we must also consider legal or logistical concerns before we even cause an even bigger mess. Now, with all this said, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you all listening to my presentation today, and don't forget to check out TNA Slammiversary on July 20th, 2025.